The Rally Monte Carlo, traditionally the opening round of perhaps the greatest motorsport challenge on earth, the World Rally Championship. The glitz and glamour of the Principality of Monaco is in sharp contrast to the twisty tarmac roads of southern France, which host the action. Run over 3 days, each of the 14 rounds which make up the series are a stiff test of both the cars and the relationship between driver and co-driver. This year's Monte Carlo rally is the mildest for years. The uncharacteristically warm weather meant far less snow and ice than in previous years. This is the 70th running of the Monte, making it the oldest of all the rallies of the World Championship. This year there are just 15 stages in the mountains to the north and west of Monte Carlo, but each one of those would test man and machine to the limit, and sometimes beyond. The 2001 World Champion Richard Burns knew his first rally to Peugeot wouldn't be easy.
I mean, we just have to be careful. There is some ice in the top in the hairpins, some ice and snow. Just have to go slowly there.
Burns was indeed taking it easy, but that didn't stop him finding the limits of his new car on the very first stage. His replacement at Subaru is the 4 times world champion Tommy Mäkinen. Looking for a record 4th consecutive win on this event, Mäkinen was one of 3 drivers to lead the rally on its first day. Fastest on the very first stage was Spain's Carlos Sainz, driven by Luis Moya. Power steering problems later on, however, caused a frustrated Sainz to drop to 5th place by the end of leg 1. Instead, it was Sainz's teammate Kenny McRae who led the 4 teams challenge. Like Burns, McRae was another who'd need the services of Lady Luck during the day.
And 3 right, plus.
The news from leg 1 wasn't confined to the crews, however. Huge crowds of spectators standing in dangerous positions caused the cancellation of the rally's second stage, leaving 4 to count. The day also claimed its fair share of retirements, Freddie Loix falling victim to stage 3. That bone-jarring collision with a bridge saw Loix taken to hospital to be checked over, while Armin Schwarz retired the other Hyundai 1 stage later. 2 of the 3 Citroens didn't even reach the first stage. Both Thomas Rodstrom and Filip Bugalski suffered related engine failures on the road section. But at least the team had something to smile about. Fastest on 2 of those 4 stages was the 27-year-old Sebastian Loeb on only his second outing in the Zara World Rally car. A stunning performance from Loeb and co-driver Daniel Eliner meant the pair returned to Monte Carlo with a lead of 36.7 seconds over Tommy Mäkinen, with Colin McRae in 3rd place. The top 6 were covered by a little over 1 minute and 10 seconds, with Richard Burns heading the pack chasing a point-scoring top 6 place.
The rally is not finished. It's 2 days to run, and it's very long, so you have to drive fast but not to make a mistake. That's not easy.
We try to push harder to get back this time what we lost in sister round.
This was just one of the hazards facing the crews on leg 2. The climb and descent over the infamous Col de Turini, tackled not once but twice. This is the kind of place which gives rally drivers nightmares.
You're taking on the Col de Turini twice today, perhaps not your favourite stage of the Monte Carlo rally for obvious reasons?
No, the last 2 years it hasn't been, so hopefully, 3rd year lucky.
Do you think you can push a bit harder today, make up a bit more time?
No, not really. We'll just keep going at the pace we've been going at, which is, it's near enough. The stages are a bit different today. We don't have any snow and ice.
6 stages make up leg 2, with the Col de Turini used on stages 9 and 11. The rally's longest day, in fact, would see a total of over 130 kilometres of flat-out driving. The day got underway at a little after 10 a.m. with stage 6, a 12-kilometre sprint to check the crews were awake. New for this season is the idea of reversing the running order for the top 15 each day. Gilles Panizzi and his co-driving brother Hervé were therefore among the first crews to tackle the day's opening stage. The pair was 7th fastest through the stage, cheered on by the local spectators. Another French duo were 8th quickest. Mitsubishi had changed the suspension setup on both their cars to a dry tarmac setting, which helped Francois Delacour and Daniel Grataloup to take over 2 seconds off the crew ahead of them. Richard Burns and Robert Reid had ended leg 1 in 7th place and planned to up the pace on leg 2. After that opening stage, however, the gap between the Peugeot and the car in 6th place had grown to over 50 seconds. That car was the Subaru Impreza of Peter Solberg and Phil Mills, who set the fastest time and the second stage victory of the event.
40, 1 right minus tightens into slippy hairpin left tightens. Into slippy don't catch, 1 right, into 1 left minus. Opens 30, very late 1 right, dry. Opens 40, 3 right plus deep in into 1 left. Half long tightens, into 3 right, opens flat. 100, 6 right plus into narrow, 2 left minus. Tightens keep in.
In all, Subarus had won 3 of the 5 stages run so far. Ford, on the other hand, had won just the 1, the opening stage yesterday. After that win, Carlos Sainz had dropped to 5th place overall and was nearly 9 seconds off the pace on stage 6. Third fastest was Sainz's colleague, Colin McRae. Despite the prediction that there'd be less snow and ice today, there seemed to be still plenty lurking in the shadows, so a cautious approach was still a good idea.
50, 3 right plus tightens, 30, 5 right minus and 3 left plus, into K, 3 right tightens, don't cut, into 6 left and 6 right, 30.
Ahead of McRae, both on the stage and on the leaderboard, was the Subaru of Tommy Mäkinen and his stand-in co-driver Kai Lindstrom, deputising for the recovering Risto Manissimäki.
Ja K-oikee 2. Ja Koskee lyhyt oikein nopea, K-vasen ja pitkä K-oikee. Pitkä vasen eri.
Their partnership looked to be working well, however. They were still in 2nd place and had taken a second off the leader in that short stage. The man who'd shaken the rally establishment with his 2nd place in Italy last year, Sebastian Loeb, couldn't begin leg 2 with a stage victory, but he seemed happy enough. 4th quickest was a respectable start to the day, and he still led the rally by over 35 seconds. His fans plenty to celebrate, but the likes of Mäkinen and McRae weren't so pleased with the youngster's performance. Confirmation then of how things stood after stage 6. The overall positions hadn't changed, but Solberg was now threatening Sainz for 5th place, while Delacour was now less than 7.5 seconds behind Burns, and his Mitsubishi teammate Alistair McRae was closing on 11th place Roman Cresta. The road section between stages 6 and 7 gave the crews a chance to check tyre pressures, while the hardy spectators were concentrating just on staying warm. Thanks to Virtual Spectator, this is a satellite eye view of Stage 7, a rerun of the 26.7-kilometre ribbon of tarmac, which made up the final stage of Leg 1. On that occasion, Loeb scorched through the test, a full 17 seconds clear of the pack. But could he repeat that performance in daylight? Alistair McRae had other things on his mind, like snatching 11th place from Roman Cresta. As it turned out, the Scot would have moved up a place by the end of the stage, but the reason was nothing to do with his pace. Instead, an astonishing accident ended Cresta's run. This amazing shot shows just how lucky Cresta and his co-driver Jan Tomanek had been. Only that telegraph pole is preventing their Octavia from plunging down the hillside. Stage 7, though, would also end in tears for others. This is Harry Rohan-Perez's Peugeot 206. Shortly before a collision with something solid ended his rally, forcing his retirement from 9th place.
I hit some small stone inside the corva and an uprise main arms bolts broken in a welding, and rims and tires is okay.
Another Peugeot driver, meanwhile, was more fortunate.
Damp from here, 20, K left in.
Richard Burns moved into the top 6, thanks to a small error by his former teammate Petter Solberg.
Narrow 4, left minus tightens gravel ruts, 2 right minus, tightens cut an end, 2 left minus slippy maybe. Open.
The calming voice of Phil Mills helped Solberg concentrate on reaching the end of the stage.
Right, just think about it now. Wipers off.
The wipers, however, weren't the only things off. The Subaru mechanics would have some work to do. Carlos Sainz too fell foul of the French scenery. In Sainz's case, it was the rear of the car which bore the brunt of the damage. Our helicopter caught the moment when the rear bumper finally gave up the job of hanging on. Fifth fastest on the stage were Colin McRae and Mickey Grist, but their Ford Focus had slipped to 4th place.
Four right, plus tightens, don't cut. And K left tightens, and now's the 3 plus, don't cut. 30, 4 right minus opens, into 6 right, don't cut, into slow 3 left, opens and tightens.
McRae isn't a fan of the Monte Carlo rally. A finish would be a welcome change after failing to score points here for 5 of the last 6 years. The reason for McRae dropping a place was a storming drive from Marcus Grönholm. Second fastest on the stage, the 2000 world champion had moved up into 3rd place.
7. Ja vasen nopea suppu. 5. Ja vasen miinus 4 ja oikein hidas kiviä sisällä.
Tommy Mäkinen, 3rd quickest, was now just 10.3 seconds ahead of Grönholm. It was starting to look as though we were in for a real scrap between the two Finns.
Vasen täys 6, oikea täys miinus 120. Ja vasen ja pitkä oikein nopea varo kapea. Heti pitkä paha vasen ja liukas piru pitkä oikein nopea miinus.
But while the Finns scrapped for 2nd, it was business as usual at the head of the leaderboard. Sebastian Loeb again set the fastest time. How's that for style? Loeb's 3rd stage win from 6 extended his lead to exactly 46 seconds. To give you some idea of his pace in the darkness last night, incidentally, he was only 14 seconds faster in the daylight over the 26.7 kilometres. The former gymnast has astonished many with his cool, calm approach to the business of driving against and beating the best in the world. This, surely, is a champion of the future.
Well, we just decided to go in a very soft compound, and in the last part of the second stage it was quite dry and hot. Car was moving a bit with the tire and came around one bend, hit the back.
I think I had too much information in my pace notes, so I couldn't get everything into my head, and it was too much gravel there. And then I just came out of line, and obviously Carlos did the same thing on the same place, so but I'm lucky to be here, so we try again.
Colin, you've traded places with Marcus Gronholm. What happened on those last two stages?
Nothing. We had a good run. Just been very careful on the damp places. Marcus had a good time on the last stage and he got in front of us.
Tommy, in the top three on the first two stages of the day, are you worried about Lowe pulling away a bit more?
So, we'll see. We take a different tire choice now, and I think there is still some hope with us. We made some mistakes.
Stages 8 and 9 would be rerun as 10 and 11, which meant the spectators could afford to make themselves comfortable. Stage 8 was a 23-kilometre affair, which began in a valley, skirted a mountain before crossing the summit, and then tracked along another valley to the finish. Hairpin bends were very much the order of the day, as 13th placed Marco Martin discovered, as he and co-driver Michael Park headed up the mountain. The pair was 7th quickest on the stage, their confidence in their new team and car growing with every corner it seemed. Roman Cresta had shown that the big Skodas could be made to fly through the twisty stages, and it was now down to Tony Gardemeister to head the team's challenge. The Finn, though, slipped from 9th to 10th. Like Martin and Gardemeister, was on his first rally for a new team. The Frenchman was still 7th, but lost 24 seconds to 8th placed Solberg on stage 8. Yet another new boy was Richard Burns, still 6th and edging out another 7 seconds from Delacour. The Peugeot was still over a minute adrift of 5th place though. Solberg must have been kicking himself for that mistake on stage 7, but the car had received some tender loving care from the Subaru mechanics, and so the Norwegian could afford to push once again. Solberg and Mills now had Delacour's Mitsubishi in their sights, less than 16 seconds the gap. Carlos Sainz and Luis Moya headed up the hill on their way to setting the 3rd fastest time. The pair was still 5th, although the gap from 3rd to 5th was only 30 seconds, and so a podium place was still very much a possibility. Was now Sainz's teammate, Colin McRae.
And right tighten, still 3 plus up a bridge, and 3 right minus, and 4 left, plus tighten, into 3 left plus tighten.
the stage, the 1995 world champion had squeezed past Marcus Gronholm, but any thoughts of grabbing second were dashed when Tommi Mäkinen's time was radioed through.
Lyhyt Kovasen sumppu, heti pitkä oikein nopea plus sillalle alkukosteen.
Mäkinen and Kai Lindström flew through stage 8, 6.3 seconds faster than anyone else.
15 pitkä oikein nopea plus helppo. 10 lyhyt Kovasen plus jatkuu. Kovasen plus 15 pitkä oikein nopea.
Rally leader Sebastian Loeb was second fastest, but the gap between first and second was now less than 40 seconds once again, and Mäkinen's intention not to give up without a fight was clear. The loyal spectators, however, only had eyes for their new hero. And so to stage 9. The first of 2 runs up to the summit of the Col de Turini and then down the other side again. On paper, or even on the virtual spectator simulation, the 23.4 kilometers don't look that extraordinary, but the Turini is about passion, about history, and most of all about respecting one of rallying's most sacred of places. Gilles Panizzi, it seemed, lacked a little of that respect at times. Team leader was just under 2 seconds slower through the stage. Considering Richard Burns is still learning the car, that was an extremely promising performance. Although the extremely disrespectful Petter Solberg was a full 19 seconds faster.
60, short 4 left, line into 6 right long of a crest, tightens short 5, don't cut. 60, line into 1 left plus tightens.
Without his earlier misdemeanor, Solberg would have been battling with the likes of McRae and Gronholm. But, as it was, the Subaru driver was still looking at a top 6 place. 13 seconds now split Solberg and Burns, with 5th placed Carlos Sainz a long way clear. Knows the Col de Turini only too well and was content with setting the 4th fastest time to consolidate his 5th place overall. Gronholm was still 4th, but again a few seconds were lost to the man behind him, Sainz. Things are already starting to look very interesting for tomorrow. But the Col de Turini held its surprises for the man it's tormented for so many years. This time, unbelievably, a seat mounting broke, causing Colin McRae to try and support himself using the steering wheel. Not surprisingly, that only worked for so long. That most public of spins right on the top of the Col contributed to McRae only setting the 8th fastest time.
Into 5 right plus.
For the second stage in a row, it was the Subaru of Mäkinen which set the fastest time. Slowly but surely, it seemed, the veteran was closing the gap on the youngster, applying mounting pressure in time for the final day. Loeb was 3rd fastest, behind both the Imprezas and losing nearly 13 seconds to Mäkinen. It hardly seemed to bother him though. This is a man with confidence in abundance.
Were you pushing very hard on the Col de Turini, or were you starting to back off a bit?
I was not pushing maximum, but I was driving fast, and I think the conditions here are very difficult for us with a tire.
So in many ways you're waiting for tomorrow to attack?
Yes, tomorrow is still even more difficult because stages they are longer. Turini is very, very long stage and very fast downhill, which is always very difficult. I'm pretty confident.
No problems. I was going a little bit too slowly on these two stages because it was so difficult and slippery.
The seat broke on the stage before on the bumps. One of the bolts came out the rear and broke the seat, so the seat was moving around. And you've got no fuel. Every time you push the brakes and turn, the seat was dropping down in the back, so it wasn't a very nice feeling. And then we had a spin on top and the call in Torini.
After reruns of those two last stages, this is how things stand at the end of leg 2. Loeb's lead over Mäkinen is less than 30 seconds, but McRae and Sainz swapped places after stage 11. So, are we looking at a sensational victory for Loeb on the Monte Carlo rally? Join us tomorrow for highlights of the third and final day to find out.